Jazz, blues, and barbecue. I must be in Memphis. In this episode of the Next Up podcast, I hung out with the Eugene Bradford, the executive director of dining services at Shelby County Schools in Tennessee. During this episode, Eugene and I spoke about mentorship, district growth, his staff's new chef codes, and his shift from the quote-unquote traditional cafeteria experience to a more upscale bistro, and so much more. But one of my favorite things he's implemented within his program is the concept of I've got 5 on it, which is used to encourage his team to increase student participation daily. Eugene dropped all sorts of valuable nuggets during this conversation, and I'm sure after listening to him, you'll be just as inspired as I am to put 5 on it. And before we dive into the episode, I'd love to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Polar King, Polar Leasing, and Polar King Mobile for helping to make this episode possible. Now let's get into it. All right, welcome to the Next Up podcast. I'm here with the Eugene Bradford of Shelby County Schools. Eugene, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man.
So do you go by Eugene or do you go by Gene? Because I've actually been wondering about that. If I could just call you Gene. Because
You know what? That people call me Gene.
Okay.
So
Your friends call you Gene.
they do. Yeah, Gene.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, let's become friends with everybody out there listening. Can you? And I'm excited for this because we've had a couple conversations, but I don't feel like I've gotten like the full origin story. So tell me where you came from, man. What are you all about? How do you get here? That sort of thing.
First and foremost, man, welcome to Memphis. All right. And how I got here, man, it's a journey. I'm originally from Chicago. Grew up on the south side in the Roseland neighborhood on 118th, man, in the trenches, as we like to say. Chicago has many nicknames, as you know. Chirac is one. We don't really care for that. But in my day, back in the day, it was known as the Wild Hundreds because of various shootouts like it was the Old West. But definitely rose out of there, man. Went to Simeon High School, played football, on to college.
What position?
Tackle
Okay.
and center. And on to college where I graduated from Morris Brown in Atlanta, Georgia, and started my career in hospitality. Started out at the Hyatt Hotels where I worked every aspect, man, from room service to fine dining at the Polaris on top to banquets. And so that kind of set the tone and made me well-rounded in hospitality. And from there, went on to restaurants and got an opportunity in 2013 with Airmark with Chicago Public Schools, and there launched my nutrition services career.
Okay. So did you go to college for hospitality?
I did. I was a hospitality major and a minor in education.
Okay. And what were you doing for Airmark at CPS?
I started off as the area manager, man, and when they took over that account, I was the first area manager hire, and so just getting on board, being the first one downtown, I got a chance to get exposure to the director, to the vice president, to various leadership in Airmark, and I started to look at what they were doing, and that's when the wheel started turning. Like, you know what, I see myself in this position, that position, and it's possible. And I started to ask the questions.
What
By
kind
that
of questions were you asking?
Man, how did you get here? You know, first and foremost, what was your path?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I'm at that point, I'm in my journey. So I wanted to know that I need to go left, right, or that I need to stop. And what I did was took a stop and took a mental note on what were their successes to get them to where they were going. And I just started to make a notepad and made sure that I documented that mentally. And as I move forward, make sure I pay it back also.
So what would you say was the best advice you got from those people you're asking these questions to?
You know what? Stay focused. Get a mentor. Follow up with your mentor. And lead people with your heart, you know, and always be ethical in everything that you do.
I like that. Mentorship is so important these days, and I feel like there's a void. There's a lack of mentors and mentees out there. I mean, I've said it a million times, but like I have actually searched for mentors because at one point in my career, my young career, I couldn't find anybody that had the experience and the wisdom to pour into me just in this industry right now.
Right.
I did find few, and they've been tremendous help, whether they were people that were, you know, in child nutrition, whether they were out of child nutrition, like finance people, like business leaders, other entrepreneurs. And mentorship is just so important because, like, I'm a mentor also to a group of students at my church, and it's great because I get to pour into them and teach them to not make the same mistakes that I made.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, and I had some practice with that just in my family. I started mentoring my little young cousins, and on that path, like I said, growing up in Chicago, there's all kinds of temptation. And just, I had one cousin I latched on to, and I said, hey, man, this is the path, man. Go to college. College can be fun. And he later ended up graduating, and he always said, man, if it wasn't for you with that simple conversation, I wouldn't be where I am. So you may reach out to thousands, but even if you reach one, you've set a goal, right?
Yeah.
And you've attained that. And so that makes you feel good. But the thing of it is, let's get more than one. So
yeah, for real.
Yeah. So that's the thing. But one of the things with the mentor, you know what? When you start to meet people in leadership that are really high in organizations, they are busy. And I would say the most important thing is follow up. You have to be tenacious in your pursuit to be successful and to ask them the right questions. And sometimes it may come off as being a pest, but if you really want to control your destiny and be the captain, you have to do those things, and you have to say, hey, look, I know I'm probably getting on your nerves, but I got to have this information.
Yeah,
right?
if you're hungry, you're going to want to go out there and get it.
Right.
And a good mentor is going to understand and respect that and will make the time to pour into you.
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
one of my very first mentors I ever had was Reggie Ross, like past SNA president, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just starting my company. I was like, I still have a lot to learn from people that have done this before me. And I used to always see him all over conferences and stuff because he wears bow ties, I wear bow ties. Or at the time, we were the only two brothers out there wearing bow ties at these conferences that I noticed. And I was like, man, there's just something about this guy, right? And I knew we were kind of value aligned. Like he was a Christian in church and he was in chorus and all that stuff. And I saw him as like someone I wanted to be more like. So I just sent him a random email one day. No, I think I actually called him. I called him. I got his number from somebody, gave him a call. I was like, hey, I know we're not super close yet, but we've had a couple conversations. I was like, would you be my mentor and help me grow in my career? And he was like, absolutely, anytime. And he's been that guy like that's always been there for me. Any question I had, just call Reggie, send him a text message, and he never ever got annoyed with me that I know.
Right. And you know what? And it's not that hard, man. We find mentors in everyone. If I think about it, even just growing up, my parents were mentors. I am the youngest. I have 4 older sisters. I grew up in a beauty salon.
Oh,
right?
man, what was that like? 4 older sisters?
It was rough. But you know what? Thinking back, it helped me today to be able to manage. One of the things you have to do even when managing people, you have to recognize who they are, understand their type. If they're quiet, if introvert, extrovert. You have to be able to communicate on their level. And I think my sisters taught me that because with 4 sisters in the household, you had to manage bathrooms, you had to manage, everything. Yeah, right. So me and my pops had a hard time with that.
Yeah.
But we definitely navigated through. But as I was saying, also mentors and coaches, right? A lot of young men that play sports, your coach is tough on you, and they give you various little quotes. Man, those quotes stick with you for life.
Give me one of your quotes. Putting you on
the
spot.
Yeah. Kill a mosquito with a sledgehammer, right? I've taken all of those quotes, from football and converted them into my management style here, and even as I manage today. Sometimes I go overboard with it, and some of my leadership team members, they look at me like, hey, there's no game on Saturday, right? We feeding students. It's like, all right, I got you. I'll bring it back down.
Yeah, but feeding kids is important.
It is important, but my point to that is that those principles, man, that I've learned along the way, they stick with me to this day. So
yeah.
I use them. One of the quotes we're pushing around here now is to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late is unacceptable.
Oh, man. Can you say that one more time for me? That was good.
Yeah, absolutely. To be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late. And to be late is unacceptable.
I love that.
I love to push those little quotes here and there,
So I love what you said about your sisters and your experience with them as a young adult actually helped you learn how to communicate with people.
Correct.
So now you're talking about like emotional intelligence, right?
Correct.
So question for you, do you think what's more valuable to you as a leader looking for other leaders to bring up, to mentor? Are you looking for someone that has high EQ or high IQ? If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Realistically, you just accept people for who they are, right? For me in leadership, you can find leadership in anyone, right? Or help coach them or guide them to that place that they need to be as a great leader. It's just understanding and what their strengths and weaknesses are, right? Wherever they're strong at, hey, we want to, expound upon that and push that. But wherever they're weak at, let's get them the tools that they need to be successful to work on those weaknesses, right? Weaknesses aren't always a negative thing per se, right? It's how you improve upon weaknesses that is the challenge sometimes, and the rewards for saying, hey, I'm better. I was struggling at this, but I'm better. I'm a terrible speller, but I keep a dictionary handy type ordeal. So that's the way I kind of look at leadership, and believe in giving an opportunity. So it's just how you develop people, man. Training and development is key. And I just want to, my experience through all my, the districts that I've been in and the jobs that I've held, I always try to pour a little bit into something. If I see someone struggling, I'll tell them about a time that I had to struggle, and this is how I overcame. And, I do it so much, sometimes people come back and say, hey, you know what, I tried this method and it worked. And I'm like, aha.
There you go.
Aha, I got it, and then sometimes it don't work, and it's like, well, maybe I shouldn't have told you that story. Let me give you another one. So.
Oh, that's great. So I love what you said about weaknesses, right, and working on them. And I really feel like the people that truly make it, that become successful in their own right, are the ones that are the ones that have the grit to actually work on their flaws, work on their weaknesses, and overcome them and become better. But then take that story, like you said, and then tell it to somebody else. So to encourage them to do the same thing.
Yep. And that's true, man. Look, I have a host of nieces and nephews, and like I said, I didn't realize I was practicing leadership at a young age, right? And I used to always, again, hit them with quotes, excuses. The tools of incompetence was to build monuments of nothingness, and those that specialize in them seldom do well in life. Man, my nieces was in 5th grade getting drilled on those. And then, I'll start to say it and they'll finish it for me. And then now they're young adults in their 20s and 30s, and they, remember excuses. Yeah, he going to tell you that. And so it's a beautiful thing when you pass on those little nuggets and jewels, and then I'm sure they're telling it to other people also.
You need to write a book of nuggets. Put it
out
there,
what?
all the quotes.
I got the notepad right here. Marlon, I'm doing it right now.
I'm going to need it too, because I have a horrible memory. So I'm going to have to refer back to the book that you write frequently.
Got you.
So growing up in Chicago, did you have any pushback when you made going to college your goal?
No pushback. My neighborhood in Roseland was definitely challenging. But like I said, I had one of those mothers, man, that just was, she probably was the first FBI agent I ever would have known or knew. She was in my business, right? But she kept me, it kept me on a straight and narrow, and I appreciate that. There's been some times where she saved me out some hard and really sticky situations in that neighborhood, man. Getting trapped in stores where, I knew gang members was outside waiting on me.
Yeah.
One in particular, and her name just saying, Gene, and I opened the door and it just split like the Red Sea. But back then, gang members kind of respected parents. And so I just made my way to the car and was like, hey, you know what? I know I can't travel down to this neighborhood no more. So, she grilled me all the way home, and I just soaked it in and said, I get it, The thing is, you want to live, right?
Yeah.
And so as you get older, that, the wisdom from my mom started to sink into me. And just so as I made decisions, I made decisions, bad decisions probably in high school and in college, but I think she eliminated a lot of the temptation, right? I can still hear her name today, even when I do things, even today, if I've said something or maybe offended someone, it's okay to go back and apologize, right? Because that's what my mother would have wanted me to do.
Yeah.
And so again, that's that wisdom, that you kind of get from your parents that you don't think they know anything or understand about, but it later hits you in life, right? You laughing, so you must have experienced some things too, right?
Yeah, my mother.
Don't touch this, and you touched it, didn't you, Mark?
Yeah, my mother sounds a lot like your mother. I didn't have the same upbringing as you did as far as like the area I grew up in, but my parents are immigrants, so I'm first generation American. So for them, it was like you have to put in the work, you have to try to be the best all the time. Like you got to win because you got to survive, right?
Okay.
And I used to just never listen to my parents, never listen to my mom, and she would always say, "One day you're gonna understand." And it wasn't until I was like 30, maybe 33, that I was like, man, my mom was really, really wise. I probably should have listened to her when she told me not to do that, but to do this, and then vice versa and all that. But, sometimes I would listen to her, sometimes I wouldn't, but they were always there to support me and guide me to get me back on the right path and to look out for me, right? And that's the thing. Like, I just had to realize that they're just loving their son because they want their son to be successful. And it took me some time. I'm a late bloomer, as she likes to say, but I feel like I'm getting there.
That's great, man. I didn't know that about you. Where are your parents from?
Jamaica.
Okay.
From Jamaica. So my parents moved from Jamaica over to Jamaica, Queens, New York. So I was born in Jamaica, Queens, and I moved from Queens when I was 4. So I grew up in Florida, but I like to claim that I'm from New York. I'm from Queens.
Gotcha. Right. And hip hop turns 50 years old this year.
Yep, right? I saw that.
Yeah.
There's some concert going on in Tampa where I live right now. And I forgot who it was. But I was like, man, like I got to go check this out.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So speaking of hip hop, you guys do a little bit of hip hop here at Shelby County, right? Don't you have some new song you just dropped or something?
Yeah, I do spit bars. No, I'm just saying. No, but man, I incorporate. Also growing up in that household, man, music was a vibe in the house. But I incorporate hip hop, because I'm from that era, and so even this year.
Wait, you're from what era? How old are you?
I'm 49.
That's crazy.
49, yeah.
I thought you were younger than me.
Yeah. Well, they say black don't crack.
Yeah,
so
they do.
There you go. But anyway, so I incorporated, I always use hip hop sometimes, even when introducing myself. When I first started at the district, my first big all-return meeting for the year, I said, man, I want to come out to a song, right? And I came out to Mystical, and they were kind of looking like, what? The heck, and so it's like, yeah, man, we about to do this thing, man. We taking Memphis to the next level, right? And that was my goal, even in coming in here. Let's have some fun. Let's make sure we do our service to the community and make sure we feed the kids and give them that experience. Like I said, I work every aspect of the food service industry almost, so I want to give them a touch of fine dining, best I can, of course, within what USDA guidelines, right? So in order to do that, that means I might have to have the fresh new uniform. Right, so we went with chef coats. That just gives them that fine touch, right? And as we get creative, again, man, nutrition services to be a great leader in this, it's all about your creativity within the rules and regulations, right? You got this box. How are we gonna color this box? We're gonna go with a color here in this corner, that corner. It's all about the creativity. And so, we did this thing called "I Got 5" on it. Everybody remembers that song, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. I was talking with my leadership team about participation, and hey guys, we got to get our participation up. It's going to be important this year that we just, what the impact of what 5 students a day would be for us. And it was like, man, who got 5 on it? And they was like, I can't finish the song, but you know the song. But anyway, and they just kind of caught on. And the next day, one of my leaders, man, Shalisa Smith, she came to. She was like, "Hey, I got 5 on it, and we taking it, to the schools." And I was like, okay. And then that just became one of our themes for this year. I got 5 on it. So if you're around Memphis Shelby County schools and you hear people say I got 5, we talking about participation, y'all. We feeding kids. 5 more kids a day is what we want to do. So, but that's one way of incorporating. And then also when my leaders were introduced, I said, you guys got to come with a song, So they started coming out to songs. And so we just kind of, we try to make it fun, This is a tough industry. We get criticized probably more than anyone, and, just the fact that we could put out that noise and do what we're here to do and focus on our job, which is to feed the kids and give them the best environment. That's what we want to do and focus on, and the rest don't matter. We want to take care of the community and definitely give the kids an experience.
So what was it like when you presented your team with chef coats?
You know what? I gave them the choice. I said, this is what our look would be like. And so we had a black chef coat, white chef coat, and I had already digitally put the new logo. The district had just went through a rebranding of our logo. And so when they looked on the screen and saw it, and it was short-sleeved, and they were like, cool. I said, well, I'm not going to pick a uniform for you, which I kind of did, but you could pick your color, right? And so they chose the black coats, and when we saw it and the logo came off, and it looked good.
Yeah, it looked sharp. It pops.
It looked good. And so we started that. That was last year, and we caught attention. And so this year we're trying to catch attention with our food, with some upgrades and that. So
Yeah, that's a very intellectual move that you made there with the chef codes for many reasons, but I love the EQ aspect of it also because giving your staff chef codes, it elevates them. It like helps them to realize and recognize that, hey, I'm more than what all these people may think I am. And now I'm going to show them, like, I'm going to look the part that I play every single day. So I love that.
Absolutely. And people always, even, when I was in Chicago, Michigan, and Dallas, they always say the lunchroom lady, right? And I probably was one of those kids too, the lunchroom lady, but they provided such a service. People may talk about student nutrition lunches, but man, when I was in school, we looked forward to that lunch period, right? One, we were going to crack some jokes, but also we were going to eat. And regardless of what we said, man, the food was good. We liked it. We may talk about it, but we kept coming back every day, right? Because they provided that substance for us. And so it's just the fact that I could put them in chef coats, and you know what? We don't have cafes no more in Memphis Shelby County Schools. In your mind, this is the bistro. The kids are coming into the bistro.
I like
and
it.
so, if you can't think it, you can't visualize it, you can't make it happen. So we talk about it, and I want that embedded in their mind, and then we go out and execute it.
So what are you doing to go from like the cafeteria to the bistro? Are you making visual changes also?
Well, that is the plan, and I don't want to give too much of that out just yet, but that is the plan. That's our future plan. We want to match the food with an environment also that's conclusive to what we feeding. So,
yeah, you got to provide a vibe for these students that are looking for one, right? Because you're competing with restaurants. And
absolutely.
What
absolutely.
are you? You are
absolutely.
a restaurant.
Yep, absolutely.
And you feed more mouths than any other quote-unquote restaurant in your community.
And that is true. And then, some kids may not have had that fine dining experience. I only experienced it because I worked in it. But then once I worked in it, I said I'll treat myself one time to it. And it is truly an experience, to see that and to match it up. So there's some innovative things that's down the pipeline that I want to do here, around the lines of fine dining, in a sense. And like I said, the goal moving forward really is we want our high school environment as we move forward to kind of have that next level college atmosphere,
nice.
Right? And then our middle school kids and students, scholars, would have that high school experience, right? So we just prepping them for the teachers are doing their part, and the leaders and the administrators and superintendent, everybody's doing their part to level up. And so we just want to do our part. And, we just, as we go 5-star, we going 5-star with them, right? And that's how even nutrition services, that's how we picked our colors, man. If you look at our logo, you see the torch there is black. So we took the black, and then we took the 5-star, and we took the gold. So we rock black and gold in nutrition services.
I like it. That's sharp.
Yes,
That's
yes.
sharp. So talk to me about like the district. What does your program look like? How many students you have eating, like all that stuff?
Well, the district right now, we're at about probably right at 100,000 students.
Okay,
roughly.
how many sites?
Over about 200
Ooh,
locations. Yeah,
man,
200 locations. We have some schools that feed other schools also too. It's about 1,300 employees in nutrition services here that make this thing happen. We have our own distribution warehouse. We have a central kitchen. We also, like I said, we do our own distribution from a freezer. We've got a freezer expansion going on right now to expand our freezer, and we have a dry warehouse just around the corner. So it takes all of this to make that meal reach the plate. It takes that collaborative effort every day to make that happen.
So you pointed behind you, like the freezer's literally like right behind you?
It's a building.
Behind you?
So what you see behind me was a former warehouse that had some issues, so they tore it down. And so our freezer is just on the other side. So,
Okay.
Yep.
So
Freezer expansion.
Equipment fascinates me. So like, what does it take to expand and like move from one freezer to another type of freezer? What kind of freezers are you looking for? Are these like indoor, outdoor freezers?
No, these are
lock-ins?
freezers that's running bendies and 2-man trucks and different things. So it goes up 3 levels so high, and it's a true freezer.
Wait,
Right.
It goes up 3 levels high?
Yeah, I mean, when I say not 3 floors, but
Oh.
we have a first level where we have our product, second level, and the third level.
Okay.
So you need a reach truck and a bendy, almost like a forklift,
Gotcha.
to get equipment and move through. And like I said, we got that expansion, and we're working through that now. It's kind of tight for us now to get product in and everything. But that freezer, our freezer expansion is due to be finished by December. So this spring we'll be able to really house a lot more product and get things out. So
That's exciting.
yeah, it is. And it takes a lot. And then like I said, we have a dry warehouse where we keep all our dry things in. So most school districts can kind of order a truck. Well, we actually order truckloads, and they come in, and then we break them down and repalletize them and send them out to the schools based upon their orders.
That's great. As a food service director, do you actually get to say, I want this type of equipment? Or does somebody else within the district have to, or do they pick?
No,
what you guys
we
receive?
we pick. But that's the point of relying on my team, right? I rely on my team to help me with picking of different things. They're the subject matter experts in their area, and so they'll come with the recommendations, and then we'll collaborate. Everything what I try to do and decisions that I try to make, I always want to include my team. And that's the best way to be successful. You got to have the buy-in of everybody. And I always push for my supervisors. If you got an idea, let us know. If you're sitting at this table, right, and you got an opportunity to say something, don't be quiet, right? Voice your opinion, because you know what? You never know where that next great idea will come from. And so I like to listen to them all. And so we go from there.
I'd like to take a moment and give a huge thank you to our sponsors for today's Next Up episode. Polar King, Polar Leasing, and Polar King Mobile, who provide a trio of outdoor refrigerated solutions. Whether you need refrigerated trailers and rentals from a nationwide network, or custom-built outdoor walk-ins with quick build availability, their team can help. So talk to me about your team. What does your district office team look like?
I have a leadership team of 7, and we basically we branch out. I have I have 2 operations managers. I have a planning and analysis, which is my finance. I have a training and development team, an equipment team, and safety. We take safety very serious, so we try to stay with trends and stay with what's going on with OSHA and just be involved and make sure we're setting up so that we always want our employees to, how they arrive to work, to go home the very same way, right? And then back to the programs we run here. We run, of course, the National School Lunch Program, and we also run CACFP after school supper meals, and we do snacks also.
Great.
Yep.
I actually met, I forgot her name, so if you're listening, don't kill me when you see me next. The lady that's in charge of safety and Q&A.
Yeah, Tiffany Blackman.
Yeah, Tiffany came in and said hello while I was setting up.
Okay.
And it was like her story was kind of it was interesting to me because she actually moved from industry and she came to a school district, right? Was that Tiffany?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
that is true. Yep.
And typically you see it the other way around, so it was neat to see her actually make the opposite transition.
Yeah, I mean, again, that this year we also came with a new mission statement, and even in our mission statement, we talk about recruiting the best, and so. That's a part of that plan, man, having the best people and going out and getting them. So we have a lot of people that have tenure here and has been here a long time, 20, 30 years plus, right? In one area, that's a lot of expertise. So you mix that in with, newcomers and people that's new to the industry. It's like a big pot of gumbo, man. We just mixing up excellence. Again, our goal is to serve the best for our students. So we put that all together, man, and like I said, we're doing. I'm not going to even say trying. We're doing some dynamic things here in Memphis, man. So we're just looking forward to the future.
Well, you're talking about a mission statement. Hit me with it. What is it?
Our mission is to improve student health, well-being, and academic success through quality meals, community engagement, staff recruitment, and professional development. Check this out, Marlon. One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Yeah,
I love that, man.
Yeah.
You need to help me with my mission statement because that is solid.
Yeah.
That's a good
Thank
one.
you, man. I appreciate it. And the team received it well too. And we built that. We built that together. I think the one bite at a time was me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But my team, they put together everything else. And before the end of the day, we left that room with that statement, and we were proud to put it out.
So how long did it take you to actually agree on the mission statement?
Honestly, it took us maybe 30 minutes, and we were just going back and forth, man. It was just one of those things where we talked about it. I kind of said something at first, and they looked and was like, And speaking of that, as a leader, you have to be able to accept criticism, right? And so they was like, nah, that ain't it, but I do like this part, Mm-hmm. And then someone said something else, and it was like, nah, that ain't it, but I do like this part, right? And we just constructed it. And like I said, in about 30 minutes, we had our mission statement. We're all laser focused anyway about being successful here and having a great product for our students. So that brainstorming, like I said, took about 30 minutes, man. And we left there happy and started instantly telling people about it and then posting it here. Make sure it's on a wall, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I love taking criticism from other people, constructive criticism, because like me, I'm super competitive. I love to outserve people. I want to be the best at what I do for other people, but I can't do that. I can never grow unless you are truthful and honest with me about where I'm weak. Like, please tell me like the faults that I have or the things where I need to improve on so I can grow to be a better person. And it's so difficult when there are people on your team that are unwilling to give you that constructive criticism just because like you're the leader, right? Well, no, like part of leading is listening, and like I need to listen to you so I can be better for you. So I mean, like it's my team, right? Like we do a lot of production, advertising, marketing work and all that. That's not me. Like that's the team executing all this stuff. And when I come to them with my crazy idea, they may say, Marlon, that's a bit much, or Marlon, that's not going to work, or hey, like we can do it, but let's try it this way. And just because I'm willing to listen to my team, the overall program is better. We get to serve better, and the solutions are better, and all that. But I tell people all the time, like I have a meeting on Friday with some industry members. I'm like, this meeting isn't just for me to tell you what I'm doing right or what I think I'm doing right. It's for you to tell me what I think or what you think I'm doing wrong or the things that I should be doing so I can do it better for you. Because ultimately, we just want to feed more kids, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
That's what we want to do. One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, Marlon. Yep, absolutely. And you know what, man? That is true, man. Accepting criticism, whether you like it or not, you know. But it's all about how you pivot and adjust, right? And at the end of the day, you know, sometimes criticism isn't a bad thing. It's really a comment or something that really helps you get better, right?
Yep. It's
and
fuel.
if you fix that, right, you can fix that. At least you're doing something that you know is helping someone else, right? So having an understanding about criticism, man, like I said, if you can't accept constructive criticism and fix that or apologize or do anything, you know, in that realm, you know, it's going to be tough to lead people.
Yeah.
Right.
And apologizing is huge. Like
it is.
I want to be the first one to apologize when I make a mistake, because for me, like people always say, you know, business is business, like whatever. Well, no, it's more, for me, it's more to that. Like it's personal too. And like, there's reasons why, like, if I make a mistake, I want to apologize for business reasons and then for personal reasons, which are more important to me, because I always want to have high standards, right? So, everybody out there, you're gonna make mistakes. Just make sure you man up or woman up and apologize for them, because it is so important and it helps either rebuild or strengthen the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta apologize.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what would you say is the hardest thing about being a leader?
You know what? One of the hardest things I think is leading a group towards a goal without creating hostility.
Oh man,
that is it, and that's something that I work on all the time. But that is probably the biggest challenge.
All right, so deconstruct that for me. What do you mean by that?
You know, when you lead a team, right, and everybody has their own individuality, right? They have their own ways of doing things. Sometimes when you're trying to get to that common goal, there can be some a bit of criticism, not necessarily criticism. I'm sorry, that's the wrong word. There can be a bit of conflict, right? And how do you work through that conflict is the key. And so, you know, getting everybody aligned, like I said, to that common goal without creating hostility, you just got to know how to navigate. And that's where, again, my sisters come into play, right? I got to match everyone's attitude, everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and kind of put it together like a puzzle. And sometimes that can definitely be challenging, but, you know, it's what we do when you're a leader.
You gotta have high EQ for that.
Yeah,
Keep going back to EQ. I don't know why.
You want to put me on that high EQ thing, man. I'm just a brother from Chicago, man, that just want to do great things, man, and serve children.
Yeah, and you're doing it. You're killing it.
Appreciate it, man.
So when I actually met you for the first time, it was at a Urban School Food Alliance membership meeting.
Correct.
Right? You want to tell me a little bit about what that is and what you were doing with that group and who you guys are and why you're important and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Urban School Food Alliance is a group of cities, basically, major cities. You got Chicago, Orlando, L.A., New York. I don't want to miss anybody. I shouldn't probably start calling off names, right? But you got Memphis. You got Memphis now. And we're a group that come together, man, and they kind of go over best bets. We work on procurement. And we also just, you know, how can we change the environment of serving students, right? We also, you know, we discuss operations. we do a bunch of things, and we come together, and we just put out we led by Katie, who's a great leader, and we just get things together. I watched that group, man, for a long time. When I was in Texas, I was in a smaller district, Ennis, and I used to watch what they were doing, and I was like, man, if I ever got the opportunity, at a larger school district, I want to join the organization and give my input and be able to have my team. And so when I got to Memphis and I looked it up and I got involved instantly, they accepted us here at Memphis. Actually, we were the first school district in the Mid-South to join. They didn't have anyone in this region. And so that was good. And when I explained to my teammates what it was about and what we'd be doing, they were great. We hit the floor running. We got involved. We start sharing some of our HR recruiting practices because this time it's during the pandemic. The job market is tough, and getting employees is tough. And how do you retain those employees? So we started going over some of the things we were doing, and they accepted us well. And then I later that next year ran for board, and I got that position. And then I encourage all of my leaders here to be involved, whether it's SNA, whatever group that you belong to get involved. Not only just get involved, but have impact and input, and try to be vocal and make sure that you let them know your presence was there. And then while you at it, make sure you shout out Memphis.
Yeah, that's right.
So, that's important to me, man. And let me share with you too, man. One of the things about coming to Memphis that made it so special to me, both of my parents are actually from a small town 57 miles from here called Brownsville. That is my family mecca. So growing up in the city of Chicago, I'm a city kid all day. I'm bottles breaking, sirens, and my father's this country boy at heart, but he's in Chicago. And he used to always tell me, he's like, yeah, I can't wait. I'm gonna get on back to Brownsville, get me a pickup truck, man. And we'd have these conversations. I'd turn around, look at me, man, you on your own, right? Yeah, I ain't doing no South, man. Animals and so I wasn't used to that. And so when I got this, both my parents are no longer here. But when I got this opportunity, and they made me the offer, and I kind of sat and I thought, and I was like, man, I'm Eugene Bradford Jr. technically, and my father's senior. And so I sat and I just had a moment where I thought about my dad, and I said, man, he always said he wanted to go back south. And it was Eugene Bradford. It just happened to be me. Oh, and so accepting this position really meant a lot to me. And so I wanted to come here. I wanted to be here. So I've immersed myself in the community and in the town, man. I love it. And so it's special for me being here, knowing that my roots, although I'm from Chicago, but my family roots run deep, and they're just down the road in Brownsville.
That's cool, man. That's a cool story.
Yep.
That's huge.
So
how did you get from Chicago to Texas?
Well, it was Chicago when I started off at Airmark.
Yeah. And
then I joined Sodexo Magic, of course, the Magic collaboration with Sodexo. And I was in Saginaw, Michigan. That was my first district. And I pretty much did my thing there. I grew up, met a lot of people. I got involved in their diversity group, which was ALPHA, the African American Connection, Leadership Forum. And from there, I got promoted to Texas, right outside of Dallas. I had a small district in this. And I grew from there, and I had 3 districts after that. And then this opportunity, I was beaming on it, and I saw it. And so I applied, and I just said, man, they just got to give me an opportunity to interview. If I sit down, I'm taking it.
I'm going to sit down, drop some bars, and drop his mind.
Yeah. I had to drop bars on success on how I'm going to do this thing in Memphis, right? And so I got the opportunity. So my travels, this is my 4th school district. Like I said, Chicago Public Schools gave me exposure, and then Saginaw, Michigan, a couple small districts, and then in Texas getting 3 districts, which kind of combined to mid-size, right?
Yeah. And
then this opportunity in Memphis was right on time, and I've been here now just at 2 years.
Okay. So just out of curiosity, when you were you said an area supervisor in Chicago?
Area manager.
Area manager.
Yep.
Did you cover Phillips? Was it Phillips High School?
Phillips High School. I did not cover Phillips. I was on the far south side, but I did cover my high school, Simeon, and I had all the high schools on the far south side in the hundreds, probably from 55th on back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so,
all right. I was only asking because I did some work back at Phillips, and I think it's 4 other schools back in the day.
Okay.
In a different lifetime.
Okay.
But yeah, I was curious.
Yeah.
So Dallas, right?
Uh-huh.
There's another urban school food alliance district down in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm going to ask you?
No, I don't. What you going to ask me, man? I'm afraid to get this question. What's up? Go ahead.
So we were at the last USFA meeting. Where was that? LA Unified we were at?
Correct. Yep. It's LA.
And there was a topic of discussion that came up.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
And Mr. Michael Rosenberger, he said that he makes the best barbecue. The best barbecue comes from Dallas. And word on the street is you did not agree with Mr. Rosenberger, and you thought that you made the best barbecue up here in Memphis.
Correct. That is correct.
We don't play. It's correct that you said that, or it's correct that you make the best.
It's correct that I said
barbecue?
it. It's correct I said it. It's correct. I'm gonna back it up. It's correct I accept any challenges. I do my thing on the grill, man. So and to you, you'll love this, man. The best jerk chicken you'll ever eat.
Woo!
Yeah.
Wait, for real?
Absolutely.
Why are you just not telling me about this, man? I've been
Because
here
you
for
didn't
a
tell
few
me
days.
where your parents was from, man. You gotta talk and go more deep with me when you see me.
All right.
But no, man. That is actually one of my hobbies. That's one of my hobbies. Of course, I mentioned that I wanted to get into podcasting. I started buying equipment. You didn't tell me how expensive it was, but I'm piecing it here by here. I love classic cars. I have a '66 original Buick Riviera.
Okay.
So that's one of my projects, and photography. So
yeah.
Those three things, man, just kind of my favorite pastime.
So we've got some things to talk about. We got to talk some. Well, first I want to eat some barbecue. I want you to prove Michael wrong.
I got you.
I have to be the judge.
I got you. Next time you're in town, man, I wouldn't be sure to sample up some stuff for you, man.
All right.
Have it for you.
Cool. Yeah. Every time I talk to Dr. Katie Wilson about the upcoming meeting, like I always throw in this barbecue showdown that needs to happen between Michael and you, because.
Well, so since the Urban School Food Alliance is coming to Memphis, it won't necessarily be a competition, but it'll be a display, right? So he's going to be forced to have the best with I don't need no competition. Just this is what we're offering you. So
that's funny. Well, he chops down his own trees for his barbecue allegedly.
I heard, and I told him, I was like, "You got any cherry trees? Because I like to smoke with cherry wood." So yeah.
All right, so we're gonna have some Memphis barbecue. We're gonna have some jerk chicken. I'm excited for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you ever put jerk chicken on your menu? Is anybody making that right now? Would you?
You know what?
And Chef T can make your own recipe.
Yeah, man. And actually, me and Chef T, man, we might walk down the hall and look each other the wrong way and say, "Man, what wings today?" We it's like that over here. Like I said, man, I come from that competitive, atmosphere, man, with playing football. But we definitely want to do that. Of course, we're working on the nutritionals. The beef patty is something that we want to bring to the district. Every time I go to Jamaica, I have to have a beef patty, not from the resort. Right there,
get the real one.
Yeah. And so I found out that they have a K through 12 compliant beef patty. So
who does?
I'm looking forward to getting that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I know there was one.
I got it from New York. Steven. Yep.
Okay.
Steven in New York gave me the specs on it. So we're looking forward now to try to get that on. So
I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's also Jamaican. She's in the food industry too, and we were trying to find someone who could make a Jamaican beef patty, but then also a vegetarian version of one.
Yeah. Yeah,
that would be neat because that's trending right now. Like a lot of kids, they want vegan foods. So.
Correct. Yeah. And we have some vegan options too. So we definitely keep that on the horizon.
So what's your favorite item on your menu? What do you love to serve the kids?
What do I love to serve the kids, or what do kids love? Let's see. For me, I'm simple, man.
Mm-hmm.
We could do so much with a burger, right? You can throw different cheeses on it. So for me, I would just say, man, keeping it. Oh, the chicken patties the spicy chicken patties is always a hit. I keep it simple, right? But we try to be creative with our students. We don't want to over chicken them and over burger them, so we try to add some different options. Sometimes, in my career, we've tried some things that was an epic fail.
Like what?
Man, when I was in Texas, we tried this. It was like a stew, a beef stew soup. And man, I started getting calls, like
parents calling you,
and I was like, "What's wrong with it?" So I jumped in my car and I ran over to the closest school, and then I tried. I was like, "Man, yeah, let's stop it now." Throw hot dogs in, whatever. It was an epic fail, man. And
but you learned something.
Yeah, I did, and we were just, what I say, man, that's just a little too creative, right? So you got sometimes that's a criticism. You have to be able to say, "Hey, somebody should have stopped me that day and said, hey, we not going with no beef stew." Kids not gonna like that. So But yeah, that I still remember, that haunts me to this day. So even when we come with,
You'll never forget.
man, beef stew. If I even hear it in a restaurant, I think about the kids like, you know. So
What you need to do is go to Jamaica and try some Jamaican beef stew.
that's different.
That'll blow your mind. Can't serve that
U-
here, though,
USDA not
unfortunately.
gonna let us.
They
do
won't
that.
like that.
They won't like
They,
that.
they won't like that. All right. So, what do you think is your highest, your most favorite menu item by the students? Like, what do they love to eat?
Students love our. You know what? Again, it's going back to the chicken.
Okay.
When we get creative, the nachos, they love nachos. That's their favorite. You know, we try not to get too fancy with things, but a lot of times it's just the simple things done right. Right? Long as it's hot, it's fresh. Long as we keep in line with those things, the students will be pretty good. But yeah, I think our nachos are probably our best. And again, the chicken sandwich, we all agree with the spicy chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
You know, kids love hot things.
Oh,
so,
yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Is there anything new you guys are putting on your menu for this school year? Are you guys back in school? I should have asked.
Oh, yes.
You
We
are,
started
right?
school last week.
Okay.
So we're in week 2, right?
Okay.
I think what is it, 36 weeks? I think we week 35 now. So
Gotcha.
we got 35 more to go.
Oh, that's
right?
it? No big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, man. It'd be
Yeah.
spring before you know it. No, summer before you know
Yeah,
it. So,
right.
but we have 21 new items, man. Don't forgive me, I can't call them all, but we have some different burgers. We got a 901 nacho, and some creative things I want to do in naming some of our menu items, right? I want to bring the local Memphis neighborhoods and name things after people. I keep saying the Orange Mound Pound Burger, but no one seems to want to pick that up. So they like, nah, they don't go. So I was like, well, tell me about some more neighborhoods and some more Memphis things. And, you know, again, I'm engulfing myself in the community, but, you know, again, we go back to hip hop, man. MJG and A-Ball was probably one of my first groups that I love. When I heard that, I was like, man, what's this? So I always heard Orange Mound, so I'm like, I'm gonna throw Orange Mound in the menu.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get it in there some way, somehow, though. We just got to figure
So
out.
you got to slide that in, then you got to educate the kids on
Right,
MJG and 8-Ball.
Right.
That's classic.
Right. Yeah,
Classic right
absolutely.
there.
But Marlon, let me ask you this before we go, and I know we're probably running out of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your all-time favorite hip hop song?
Whoa. Oh, man. That's tough. So I like old school hip hop. So it's not going to be anything in like after the 2000 era. Honestly, like I love New Jack Swing. I love that style. Like,
Okay, Teddy Riley.
Yeah,
Okay.
Teddy Riley. Give me some Poison and like Belle Biv DeVoe. Like that's the music that I listen to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. What about you?
You know what? That's hard, man. You know, like you said, 50 years of music. But I'll go back to, you know, the early days too. I think something like, you know, when I first heard Curtis blow the brakes and didn't realize it was a Christmas song. That's something that
Wait,
come
it's
on.
a Christmas song?
Yeah, he's kind of talking about Christmas. Yeah, these are the breaks. Yeah. And so when you hear that, man, I don't care what age you are, you're going to see people's mouths start to move, right?
And heads
That's
starting
one of
to-
those
heads starting
songs.
to
And then,
bop.
you know, again, Run DMC, Fat Boys. It was so many songs, but I think, Grandmaster Flash,
True.
The Message, those two are probably neck and neck as my all-time favorite hip-hop songs because you don't realize you know the words to that, you know. And I grew up in an era where your mama would say, hey, if you knew your work like you knew them rap songs, right?
Yeah.
That, you know, so, yeah.
You know what's funny too? Slick Rick. I love Slick Rick because he was such a good storyteller, and I used to
Absolutely.
love listening to his stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I saw him at an airport in New York.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
last year. But we were in pre-check actually, and he was like 3 rows in front of me, and I couldn't get to him because I wanted to get a picture.
Right.
It wasn't
right.
happening though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man. So tell me, what are you most excited about this school year?
You know what? One of our themes this year is build, believe, and be bold. So I'm excited to get our new products in front of the students, which is supposed to start right around Labor Day. But of course, logistically, there's something always that come up. And so long as the vendors can get it to us and we roll that out after Labor Day, I'm excited about putting new product in front of them because we've already kind of did the precursor with we've had the media day with them actually seeing a few of our items. I'm ready to actually get it in front of the students and see their response and survey them to see what they like. Again, you know, we're always trying in this. Again, the biggest thing for nutrition service is creativity. And long as we being creative and we giving our best to giving them the best thing, even if it's a burger, we'll flip it and change it with, like I said, different kinds of cheese, onions, or whatever, and give it a new name that's sparking and innovative. But so that's for the most part. I'm looking forward to September when we start to roll out our new menu items.
Okay. Yeah. And because I feel like you are an amazing mentor, and there's a lateral mentorship happening right now from you to me. This is great. All right. Give me an example of one challenge that you faced in your current role, and maybe even before, just in school food service, and how you overcame it.
The biggest challenge in school food service, man, the guideline. I think the biggest thing is staying within the guidelines of the USDA and creating a product that kids are used to, that is trending, and making it where you can serve it to them, but again, within the rules and regulation of USDA guidelines. So if that means getting back to scratch cooking, I think that's been the biggest challenge.
Especially at your size.
Yeah, at our size, because to get back to scratch cooking, you got to know how to cook, right? So building a recipe-friendly scratch cooking item is probably the biggest challenge. The onions, the peppers got to blend, and then you got to know some kids don't like onions and peppers. So you got so many barriers, man, to create that right menu, right, or create that right item. That is the biggest challenge. How do you please all of the students with what they dislikes and likes? Kids don't, you might take a slice of bread. Some kids like the whole piece of bread. I was a kid that used to peel the edges off. Yeah. Like, as an adult, why did we do that?
Yeah.
Why did we peel the edges off? Now, that's the best part to me. So,
real quick.
Yeah, man.
So I was talking to Alex Hallmark a couple days ago, and she was talking about about not eating the crust of the bread. And I guess in Mississippi, there's something that parents say to kids where if you don't eat the crust of the bread, you'll never learn how to whistle. And I was like, what? Where does that come from?
Okay. Yeah.
But apparently, kids, if you don't eat your crust, you'll never learn how to whistle.
Yeah. But no, that's the biggest challenge, man. Just think, students, right? You know how fickle you were as a kid and certain things you didn't like. Now, multiply that times about 100,000 of them, right? How do we meet that demand and give them the best product? That's the biggest challenge.
And you said you worked in hospitality before, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me something that you learned from, that time or from that career that you brought over to your program to help it grow.
You know what? I think the biggest thing is customer service, right? And I could truly say I learned that, man, from that Hyatt touch, man, working at the hotels. Customer service will take you a long way, regardless if folks are mad at you. If you can apologize, show empathy, and fix the situation, that will take you a long way.
Yes, it will.
So just being able, one, to address conflict when there's an issue. Sometimes there's issues in schools, and I have to go talk to the administrator. Even with my own students. With my own employees. There may be something that we have promised them and we couldn't come through on. And the biggest thing of that is going ahead, addressing the issue, right? Follow up, right? And then get to the solution and provide that to them. Customer service is the best thing. It'll take you so far.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm going to ask you the question in reverse now. So what would you say to all the people outside of school nutrition or outside of K-12 food service, something they could take from what you've learned being on this side? Because everybody always talks about how all these innovative ideas and all these things come from like restaurants into K-12. But there's a lot of things that we do here in K-12 that they may not know about over there. So do you have any tips you would give them, like whether it's about, I'll let you go.
You know what? I say it's simple, man. People is people. Respect is something that you should always give, right? Show empathy, care for your next fellow man and woman, and just, always give back. Everyone that got into position they are, no matter where you at, somebody is always watching. And just being able to provide, a nugget again. The Gene Book of Nuggets coming out right here.
Yeah.
Right. Just provide a nugget to help someone get to that next level, or to whatever, and then with a smile. It's as simple as that. With the smile.
Especially talking about kids, man, because sometimes the only smile they get throughout the day is the person working the serving line. Right?
And I share a story about that. I always tell my supervisors, we're probably the first or second person that they see when they enter a school building. It may be the administrator, or it may be the custodian person when they're coming in the morning, or the bus driver when they get on the bus. But we're probably the top 3 people that they're seeing today. And the first thing we can do at least is greet them with a smile and something great to eat.
Yep, and I can say you live by that mantra, because every time I see you, I'm always greeted with a smile. Every time I see you greet someone else, it's always with a smile.
Yeah, absolutely.
And once again, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today. Love what you're doing. Huge supporter. I hope I can come back whenever some of these renovations are done. Maybe do some before and after type videos, pictures, podcasts, whatever.
Absolutely.
It's a blessing hanging out with you, and your team is amazing. Like,
thank you,
I
man.
love your team. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. They help make me who I am. So on behalf of the whole district, Memphis Shelby County Schools, man, thank you for coming and giving me this opportunity.
It's an honor. I'll be back.
Thank you. All right. We're looking forward to it.